Welcome to Eclectic Mysteries. Today we're going to be discussing the fourth way, the path of that was taught by Judith, the way that reconciles the four yogas, the yoga of the karma yoga, which is works, basically doing things without expectation, basically doing things without a sense of reward. That's karma yoga, right? Then you have jnana yoga, which is yoga of knowledge, studying the ancient scriptures, studying the holy books, acquiring self-knowledge through meditation. That's jnana yoga. And then we have the bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion, which is devoting yourself to the highest ideal, that ideal being God, or God being that ideal, which is the highest point of love and wisdom together, united. And the fourth way kind of reconciles this. It seems like in the past, these different paths were based on temperament. It was basically saying that, you know, if your temperament was more earthy, then maybe karma yoga would be best for you. If you were more airy-minded, then jnana yoga of knowledge would be better for you. Studying the Upanishads, for example, acquiring self-gnosis in the West, we'd call it. Then you'd have the yoga of devotion, bhakti yoga, which is what allows you to feel an affinity or love for the divine, a personal connection with the observer or the universal creator. Now this all gets reconciled with the fourth way. The fourth way was called the fourth way, the path of observation, the path of unification of the three. In fact, in this yoga, you will be learning how to acquire mental stillness and awareness, and also a awareness of the heart and feeling, as well as awareness of the motor instinctual nature of humanity. So you're going to understand the three brains, as it was taught by Samael Mayor, also Judith. The three brains are the intellectual mind, where a lot of people like to study and learn things through the mind and acquire theories. And then you have more sentimental devotion of the heart, the yoga of feeling, trying to acquire a union with the divine through a yearning relationship with it. And then you have karma yoga, which is through acts, rituals, through sacrificing the fruits of one's labor to the divine, which is very deep if you think about it, because we should be living without, when we do something good, it should be for the intention of doing something good and not to acquire attention or wealth or fame. And even if we're doing things that are acquiring wealth and fame, to just sacrifice the fruit of that labor to the Lord, i.e. love and wisdom, the eternal nature of the universe, essentially. So the fourth way reconciles all four of these by practicing a strict adherence to self-observation from moment to moment, essentially being able to observe the mind in its intellectual factory, observing the heart in its emotional factory, and observing the instinctual nature in its physical factory, and how these three factories of the body are producing various different impulses and various different insights as well to determine your behavior. A lot of people who are living just in the mind are acquiring a lot of theories, a lot of attitudes, a lot of perspectives, a lot of different belief systems. Those in the heart are looking for something else to yearn for, some mystery to yearn for, some type of relationship with the divine, an interdependent relationship. Then you have those in the physical instinctual mode, which are just, living day to day, working day to day, sacrificing their fruits for a holy purpose. So these are the three yogas. Then you have the fourth yoga, which was taught by Judith, which was the path of self-remembering, self-observation, and to be watchful. Now Jesus, the Christ in the story of the New Testament, was also teaching the fourth way, and he said to be watchful. And also in the Old Testament, some of the main esoteric teachings are to be watchful. It says when you're camping your tent or pitching your tent, be watchful. You have to be watchful in the guard of the mind to watch the intruders, for the intruders will come about into the subconscious mind and try to infiltrate into your subconscious mind and cause you to falter, cause you to have an issue, cause you to fall into some intellectual belief system, find you to be yearning for the wrong ideal or achieving actions in the wrong way. So that's the mystery of 666 in the Bible, the 666, the beast. Because when our intellectual mind is turned down and our emotional nature is turned down and our instinctual nature is also turned down, you go from 999 to 666 because the energy flows now downward into what they would call in the Old Testament the belly of the beast, or the depths of hell. Essentially, our life force drains downward instead of upward. So the whole point of esoteric science and understanding alchemy is to change this flow of energy that's descending from heaven, descending down the spinal column through the law of density. And we have to purify it and subtleize the gross, right? It says you have to make what is gross subtle. So what has become gross must become subtle by revitalization of the internal composition of the human body that needs to rise up the 7 churches, the 7 cathedrals, up into the brain, right? And through this process is what happens when we use the 4th way of self-observation, because we need to observe and kindle the fires in the mind, in the heart, and in the physical lower abdomen. In the Taoist traditions, they teach that the abdomen is the source of the physical chi. Then you have in the heart the emotional astral chi, and then in the mind you have the mental causal chi. In the mind you have the mental chi, and above the head in the universal cosmic chakras you have the etheric chi, the ether. So how do you practice the 4th way? Practicing the 4th way essentially comes down to living moment to moment, and from moment to moment realizing that every day of your life, even when you're driving in the car, even when you're getting groceries, even when you're working in the garden, even when you're just going for a walk, is all training you and preparing you for something more than what you would expect. Every single day, your actions are actually training wheels for something that you're going to move into. Now understand this, that practicing self-observation allows you to see the spiritual nature behind everyday, habitual, routinic behaviors in the physical realm. In esoteric science, we have to separate the realms. One realm is the mundane plane, and then on a higher plane is the transcendental plane. Okay, on the mundane plane, it just appears like we are simply dialoguing and speaking, opinions on the internet, right? But on the universal transcendental plane, we're actually sharing astral insights and actually having astrally scholarly, not physically, mundanic. See, scholarly would be mundanic, whereas astrally you would have something higher than that, because on the physical plane of the mundane realm, everything comes off as a shadow. Everything comes off as slightly incoherent, slightly perplexed, slightly out of place, just because in the mundane realm is the realm of appearances. Above this realm in the transcendental plane is the realm of adherences. These are the laws that we adhere to. The causal, astral, above the astral, the causal, the mental plane, the archetypal plane, and then down here's the mundane planes, the reflections, the shadows. So when we begin to smudge our mirror, clear our mirror, we begin to become conductors and clear reflections for these higher archetypes that are always coming downward. We have to catch the morning dew. That's the story of the story of Moses when they're in the desert for 40 years and they have to eat off the manna from heaven. It's the inspiration and the ancient inspirations that come from above that accumulate and crystallize into the claustrum of the brain in this higher mind. This dew actually does become a physical substance, and that physical substance is the magnetic electric fluid that descends from the pineal and pituitary gland down into the powerhouse, right, the bottom of the spine, the negative polarity to recharge and to uplift up and become subtle. And that is directly corresponded to the philosopher's stone. And that's why alchemists who observed in their laboratories the transmutation of the physical matter knew that it was just a replica or representation of an internal transformation and transmutation that was happening within the human body. The spinal column is a distillery, and by utilizing the fourth way and practicing self-observation, we're able to understand how we are emitting energies from our mind, from our heart, and from our everyday actions that are actually depleting our electromagnetic auric field and causing us to be distracted in the mundane realm and not able to focus and adhere to the universal laws of the idyllic realm, of the archetypal realm, and of the causal realm. Because that's why that ancient symbol in the book of Eliphas Levi, where you have God up here looking good, and then you have the devil, Satan. That shadow has to be polished. That shadow has to be transmuted, just like in the Emerald Tablets of Thought that said darkness must be transmuted into light and evil must be transmuted into good. We have to transmute the lower animal nature into its higher form by observing our first instinctual nature, mastering karma yoga through the fourth way of observing, by observing and paying attention. Observation and paying attention to your everyday life, moment to moment, are the two highest esoteric teachings taught in Western esoteric science. This gives the soul its ability to take back the energy that has been throttled into the physical realm upon incarnation into it. The soul can become revitalized and ascend the 7 planes and ascend Jacob's ladder into the transcendental abodes once again.